to my channel. I'm Joan and this is Joan's Pointed Plate. Today's video is a three-way collaboration video. We are doing a progressive day of meals. Denise over at Dish with D is providing you breakfast. Christy over at Planning Us Healthy is doing lunch, and I am doing dinner. So make sure you check out Denise and Christy's channel to see what they're making for breakfast and for lunch. For dinner, I am making chicken pie. It is one of my family's absolute favorites. Made the way I used to make it, it is a whopping 12 points per slice. And you get 6 servings out of a pie. So that's not a whole lot of food for 12 points. But lightened up a little bit, it's still absolutely delicious. And it comes down to 5 points per slice. We are using the 2-ingredient dough instead of the Pillsbury crust. That is where we're saving all our points. So let's get started making this chicken pie. The first thing we're gonna do is make the crust. So the crust is the traditional 2-ingredient dough. In this bowl, I have 1.5 cups of self-rising flour and also a teaspoon of baking powder because I always like to add that in. To the 1.5 cups of flour, I am adding 1 cup of plain, non-fat Greek yogurt. If you've never made the 2-ingredient dough before, it does take some getting used to work with. It is a sticky dough. I use it for everything. This is how I make my bagels. I make pretzel bites. I make cinnamon rolls, and I use it for pizza crust. I also use it as the crust when I make strombolis or calzones. There is pretty much nothing this dough can't do. I like to make garlic sticks and the copycat Red Lobster cheddar biscuits from it. It's a very awesome and versatile dough. But I will say, it does take some getting used to working with it. A lot of the recipes you see for it tell you to do 1-to-1 ratio, 1 cup of flour to 1 cup of yogurt. I think that makes it really, really sticky, and I like to reduce it a little bit. I start with less, and then if I need more, I can always add it, but you can't take it out. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my hands, take my bracelet off, and start really getting it to stick together and kneading it. This may need just a little bit more. When I do 1 cup of flour, I do 3/4 of a cup of yogurt, and it's perfect. This was 1.5 cups to 1 cup, and it might need just a little bit more. Nope, I think it's going to come together just fine. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, and I forgot to get my scale out, is we are going to weigh the ball of dough and divide it in half. You can absolutely eyeball it if you like. I like to be kind of precise, so I generally weigh mine. Like when I make my bagels, I weigh the whole ball and divide it by 4. But you do you. Okay, 486 grams. So quick math in my head, which is a very scary thing, would be 243. Almost. And my computer screen just went off, and that is where the recipe is. Okay, there we go, perfect. We're gonna put the 1 ball aside. Now I have on here a piece of parchment paper. I learned that it is much easier to roll it out and get it into the pan on the parchment paper. I'm gonna spray it with a little bit of spray. Bring up my recipe that disappeared off the screen. Oh, there's the beeper. Preheat the oven to 400. Okay. A little bit of flour on my rolling pin. This rolling pin was a wedding gift to my mother. My mother got married in 1950. So it's pretty old, and it's very special to me. So we're just gonna roll this out, and I take my time because, like I said, the dough is not the easiest to work with, and I'm gonna admit that. But to me, it's well worth it, especially to save all those points. And the longer you work with it, the easier it becomes. You just have to be patient. So I am going to continue rolling this out. You certainly don't need to watch me because it will get boring. And I will be back when it is rolled out and I'm putting it in the pie plate. Okay, crust is all rolled out. Here's the tricky part. Going to just lay the parchment paper there and gently peel it off. And then we're just going to kind of ease it in, play with it a little bit, stretch it where it needs to be stretched. Maybe chop a little off and, you know, patch it up over there. Because it's not a perfect circle, but you know, real life in my kitchen, guys, real life. As long as most of the pie plate is covered, you'll be fine. And we are going to be using the other one to put a top crust on. Now, in some pies, you prick the bottom so it doesn't bubble up. Usually you only do that when you're par baking the crust, and we are not par baking this crust. We are filling it, so we are not going to prick the bottom. Okay. That looks pretty good. It's a little low over here, but it just gives it that homemade look. At least that's what I tell myself. Okay, there. So there's our bottom crust. And the next thing we need to do is get started making our filling. So in the saucepan over medium heat, I have 1/3 of a cup of light butter melting. And to that, I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of chopped onion. We're gonna stir that around. And we are going to let that cook about 2 to 3 minutes until the onion is nice and tender and starting to cook down. Okay, I wasn't paying attention and they went from not brown to very brown very quickly. So we're going to turn it down. We're going to get our flour in there. Get that browning a little bit. And we are also going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Get that nice and mixed till the flour turns a nice brown color and it's bubbly and thick. And now we are going to slowly add 14 ounces of chicken broth, and I'm going to crank the heat back up. I'm going to add it slowly. Make sure it's all incorporated and keep it nice and smooth. And FYI, I led you astray at the beginning of the video. I said that this was 5 points per piece. It's actually 6. 6 points per serving. Exactly half of what it is if you use the Pillsbury pie crust. I am just going to let this cook, stirring it constantly until it's nice and thick and bubbly, and then we will get everything else added to it. Okay, this is nice and thick and bubbly, so to that we are going to add 2.5 cups of cooked chicken that's been chopped, shredded, cubed, something. I turn the heat down again. And then we are going to add 2 cups of frozen mixed vegetables that have been thawed. Of course, I didn't think to thaw them, so I just stuck them in the microwave for about 3 minutes. This is actually 2 2/3 cups, this bag, so I'm gonna add pretty much all of it. And then, let's see how much is left. Oh, what the heck. Everybody likes more veggies, right? And then we are going to take it off the heat. And we are going to fill our pie crust. Went ahead and I rolled out our top crust. And now we're just going to pour the filling into the pie pan. I am using a deep dish pie pan because this is a lot of filling. So I do use a deep dish. Spread that out nice and even. Then we're going to put the top crust on, just like we did with the bottom. Flop it right over. Peel it right off. And then we are going to tuck the crust under and have it meet with the bottom crust and pinch them together. If it's a little too much, you can just tear it off. Certainly doesn't look like a Martha Stewart pie crust, but that's okay. It's going to taste delicious, and taste is what I'm going for. I'm not sure if I mentioned it in the beginning, but definitely spray the pie pan. Okay. So there we go. We have our top crust on. Now we're just going to take a nice sharp knife and put some slits in that top crust so it will vent while it's cooking. And there you have it. Our chicken pie that is going to go in the oven at 400 degrees for, and I forget, so I need to check my recipe. I want to say it's 35 to 40 minutes. Okay, I'm glad I checked because it says 15 to 20 on the recipe. I will check it after 15 and decide then. Basically, you're just cooking the crust because everything in the filling is cooked and you're putting it in hot. So we're just trying to get the crust a nice golden brown. So let's start with 15 minutes at 400. Look how delicious that looks. It is perfectly golden brown. I lifted it up and checked the bottom, perfectly golden brown. I checked it at 15 minutes and it still needed a little time, but the edges were getting a little bit overdone. So what I did was I have one of these handy dandy, this is from the Pampered Chef. It's a large 9-inch, I don't know what it's called, crust protector. If you notice, it goes right on and it protects the edges of your crust, which happen to get done quicker than the rest of it. So I put that on and I put it in for another 5 minutes, so 20 minutes total, and it is absolutely perfect. So now I'm gonna let it sit about 5 or 10 minutes until it settles and cools just a little bit, and then we will slice it up and I will show you what it looks like plated. So here is the chicken pie plated up, and I am serving it with a side salad. Like I said, the chicken pie is 6 Freestyle Smart Points, and there you have it. That is the dinner part of the progressive day of breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So there you have it, the third step of the progressive day of eating, dinner chicken pie. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel and you'd like to do so, please smash that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and you will be notified every time I upload a video. And I do upload about 5 times a week. What I eat in a day, grocery hauls, menu plans, cook with me's, all that fun stuff. So thank you for watching, and don't forget, Denise and Christy's link are in the description box below. Make sure you go check out Breakfast with Denise and Lunch with Christy. Have a great day, and thanks for watching, everyone.